Arnold, Arnie the Governor, I'm now calling him the Gropinator. I like that better. He says, groping women was wrong. It was bullish. Forget all the excuses. It was just wrong, he says. Well, I'm glad he's come to that conclusion now 20 years later. You know, is it hard? Does it ever feel like a fever dream to anyone that this dude was the governor of California? A Republican governor of California, might I add?
Considering Reagan was also a governor of California, they have a tendency to do this, so I'm not too shocked.
So
but
they'll pick Republicans, but just as
only
long as
if they're
famous.
actors.
Yes, okay. The Gipper and the Groper, that's what we've got here. Somebody should make that movie.
Although Reagan might have been a Democrat when he was governor of California.
I don't know.
I wasn't around.
So it says in Netflix's upcoming Arnold Schwarzenegger documentary series called Arnold, the actor and former California governor somewhat apologizes. I like that. He's like, he half apologizes for groping women in the past.
I'm partially sorry.
5 days before the 2003 California governor's election, the LA Times published a report in which 6 women accused him of groping and humiliating them. He said at the time the reports were made up and he never grabbed anyone. Well, that's just a lie. I'm sure he's grabbed plenty of people. I saw him pick up John Connor at least once. Like, you know what I'm saying. Although he admitted he behaved badly sometimes in the past. This is what his quote says. He says, "My reaction in the beginning, I was kind of defensive." Well, I wonder why. He says, now in the 3-part Netflix documentary, today I can look at it and kind of say it doesn't really matter what time it is. If it's Muscle Beach 40 years ago or today, that was wrong. It was bullshit. Forget all the excuses. It was just wrong.
It's wrong.
It is bullshit. I did not grope her. I did not.
Oh, hi, Mark.
I get it. Like it was wrong back then. It is wrong. But I mean, I really feel like it's like you're coming out and saying this stuff now when it's extremely safe. For him. Like,
it's no longer
how old is he
for him?
75. He's in his late 70s.
I mean, he's not. It's like what? He's not going to lose anything. He has nothing to. There's nothing riding on him saying this. So.
It's not like a brave thing for him to come out and be like, I'm sorry that I lied in the past when it actually affected me.
You know, from what I understand, it's not like it wasn't like a aggravated rape or anything. It's like if he's, groping people, touching people against their will, that's assault and it's bad. I'm not trying to make excuses, but it's a pretty safe environment for him to say that it's bad now as opposed to,
Yeah, I mean, I think it's good that he's saying it's bad, but it also feels very manufactured that this was a way for them to make him somehow still the good guy despite doing something wrong.
The other thing that I thought was interesting about this is it says a lot about the news cycle and our politicized climate. So it says when he announced he was running for governor, so it says, personally, I was surprised that it didn't have more of an effect on the election. I thought that more people would be offended themselves, says a Los Angeles Times reporter, Carla Hall. When Arnold announced he was running for governor, the staff of the LA Times immediately went into high gear to start looking into stories that we had heard about for years, but no one actually investigated them fully. So what that tells me, ladies and gentlemen, is that if you have been attacked by a famous man, they're only going to care if you are then choosing to run for office.
We saw this with a bunch of politicians recently.
There's a really gross perspective that might have something to do with it. There's a lot of people that look at that kind of stuff and still think, it's not that big of a deal. And when I say a lot of people, I mean a lot of women that also are kind of like, it's not that big of a deal. So,
well, also the last 2 presidents to be elected had people accuse them of sexual assault. Like,
whatever happened to Terry Reid?
It's become like a whole strategy now that like you hold on to that until the person runs for office, which is just mind-boggling. Like, no, that's something that should be handled immediately. This is a legitimate crime. Don't just, if you're the media, don't just sit on it because you can.
It doesn't help that all the stuff that happened to Justice, or all the accusations that went to Justice Kennedy and all of that stuff, when it seems like all of that was nothing. Again, I don't know for sure, but that's what it seems like. That it was all just manufactured because they didn't want him to be confirmed. And so then it just becomes cynical politics. And so people are left, all right, is this real? Is this just someone playing politics? Is
this Justice Kavanaugh, where there's suddenly a dorm room full of people running?
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
So those kind of stories hurt the credibility of all people that would say, hey, I was a victim or whatever. And it's a bad thing, but it's a reality that we live in.
But I have a problem with the media claiming to be on the side of fighting for good. They frame it that way, right?
Yeah.
Well, how many movies did he work on between this time that they just let go until he decided that they decided it was a worthwhile risk to put this dude, if we're looking at it from their perspective, not from another person's perspective, they see him as some type of predator. They need to do something about it. They need to go talk to the media about it. How many movies did he work on? How many women did he work alone with before they decided that him running for governor was enough of an impetus to start these conversations?
But that's the thing. I mean, again, like, not only there's another angle to think about here, which is that, yeah, it's ridiculous that they've been hearing these rumors for years and not acting on it. Then they finally do, and they're like, man, this really didn't have the impact we expected it to. But here's the thing about governors: they can be impeached. You can take them out of office. So if you genuinely believed that this was a problem and not something that was just expedient for you politically, then you should have continued to investigate it and continued to dig up dirt and kept reporting on it. That, like, if you are certain that somebody did this and they are currently in office, you shouldn't be like, well, we tried. No, keep pushing.
And he's an actor. So it's not like this is not something that would have gotten you headlines. If we're taking the cynical approach and what they want is headlines, it's not like they wouldn't have gotten the headlines from him being an actor, not just a dude who's running for office. You could still say, look, Terminator accused of crime. Terminator.
I think that the time has something to do with it too, because there was a time where if you were an actor, like I think in the 90s, it's likely, especially early 90s, late 80s, if someone had accused Arnold Schwarzenegger of groping them, I think that there would have been a whole lot of brushing it aside but from both men and women. Whether or not that's the right course of action, is not the case. I think that's just would have been the reality.
So I did look up what the articles that came out at the time were. And I think the problem might be that they do say stuff like women say Schwarzenegger groped, humiliated them. And I'm like, I feel like a better article title would have been The Gropinator, because that would have gotten people to click.
Yeah, people have actually looked at it.
And then people would have looked at it and read it, whereas for this, people might be like, somebody's just accusing another celebrity of something. Like,
it does sensationalize.
You come out and you're like, The Gropinator, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Predator. Because now we're getting multiple movies involved.
Picture it here with his good friend Harvey Weinstein,
God.
Just hanging out.
I agree with you, and I understand what you're saying, but I think that's probably not a good thing.
No,
you need to have like an ironclad case,
like the groping, the Predator.
You'd have to be able to go into a court and prove that. Yeah. But at the same time, like, if National Enquirer can say it.
But did you see that Danny Masterson was just convicted after 20 years of R-word, of something that happened 20 years ago? And a lot of people believe that it's just like Scientology getting back at him because they think he was like trying to get his way out.
I have been told a few times recently on my channel that I really should not do anything about Scientology. Like,
at all?
Because somebody asked, they were like, could you look into Scientology? And I went, oh, sure. And then a whole bunch of people were like, don't do it. Do not. They will kill you. They will end your career. They will lie about you. They will come after. They will dig up every piece of dirt. And I was like, okay. Yeah. I'm a little more scared of Scientology now than I am the government.
Yeah.
Because...
Well, we're safe here because I'm a Tom Cruise stan, and since Tom Cruise is a Scientologist, I'm probably given a free pass. No, that's probably not true. But like, as far as I'm concerned, the media, shame on them for always claiming the moral high ground when it's proven time and time again that your supposed moral high ground absolutely has strings attached, and what you care about is headline and making copy and what's going to play the best to your audience. And I have no problem with that. I have a problem with you doing it under a veil of supposed moral superiority. Mm-hmm. That bothers me. That's just my personal take on it. Yeah. Also, what other movies? Like, so we've got The Predator.
We got The Gropinator.
There's so many. Can we work Kindergarten Cop in there? But I don't think he was accused of anything that would involve that. So.
He was in The Expendables. Can you do anything with that?
I don't know. Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.